Focus. Not to get too fruity, but a channel is not made by the host. It's 50% audience giving advice and crafting the channel. And I'm not saying this to be nice because I'm not nice. But I read all the comments, sometimes several times, because I have no idea what you're talking about. My one trans viewer was talking about the house of Jupiter and Saturn. I have no idea what that means. And I will timestamp this so you can skip this political intro. So Biden is running for president. He's got a YouTube channel where the comments are turned off. Don't you want to hear from your constituents? You're running for office, but you don't believe in free expression? If you're so scared of hearing from people, why run for office in the first place? Biden has dementia, and he's got good days and bad days. So his PR guy tells the press if Biden will do any appearances. Biden misses a lot of appearances. People make excuses for him that he needs to do debate preparation. Except Biden has been in office for 50 years. He should be very comfortable talking and debating. Trump does campaign rallies all over America while simultaneously running the country. Biden was asked about his crack-smoking, whore-banging kid who got $3.5 million from a Russian banker for some backroom deal. Biden panicked and tried to get the questions back to Trump. When Trump ran in 2015, he talked about what he had planned. It might have been ridiculous, but at least he said it. Hillary also talked about Trump instead of what she had planned. Biden is doing the same thing because they're politicians. They will say or do anything for power. They're terrified of making campaign promises that will tie them down. Remember, no new taxes? Keep in mind that the media is on Biden's side. They are 100% Democratic voters, but Biden can't even handle softball questions. How is he going to handle a debate? We'll find out on September 29th, and I have the popcorn ready. Biden won't blow the debates. He rambles, but he still knows where he is and what's going on. No matter how bad he is, the media will cover for him. The media is already doing damage control for Antifa and BLM. They're saying that it's actually white people doing all the looting, even though there are thousands of videos that disprove it. Ted Wheeler's city has been rioting for 3 months, but a patriot group is coming in a few days for a peaceful assembly. But Ted Wheeler is terrified of Christians and the beautiful people of the light, so he went on a Twitter storm about how he must keep the evil Christians out of his peaceful town. Hey buddy, have you seen what BLM has done? $2 billion in damages and 3 dozen dead. Plus Antifa started forest fires. Whatever, if Jenny Durkin, Jacob Frey, and Ted Wheeler is what they want, then they deserve it. They'll probably get reelected. If anything, the residents want somebody even further left. Because they're insane. Cultural Marxism is a hell of a drug. If you were in the blue-controlled cities, you've been brainwashed for decades by teachers who are avowed commies. Actually, the Wu Flu's got some probably unexpected benefits. Kids are learning via video conferencing so the parents can see what propaganda is being pushed. And more and more of the parents are just deciding to homeschool or set up small neighborhood schools. I suspect that homeschooling moms are going to focus on reading and math and not on blonde man bad. But we'll find out in 15 years. Maybe the country will shift to the right. Inshallah, buy that helicopter stock. So comics are LGBT and developmentally disabled. Like 90% of them are written by LGBT cat people, bolshies. They are so far left that they think they're being subtle with their propaganda because, as I mentioned, they are disabled cigarettes. So I saw this Savage Dragon cover where Larson sucks off Kamala in the DNC. Larson is a pervert. Oh, let me show you. Example. That's just what you see. White guys beating up black guys. He's a pervert who, when I become dictator, will be put in the camps. I better not say that. I just can't visualize the type of soy boy pussy that buys Savage Dragon. Absolute consumer bugman who's got a waifu pillow and jerks it to Japanese cartoons. Dear bugman, stop eating the garbage you eat. Lose weight, start eating pussy. I saw an Antifa poster. It was a Russian propaganda piece telling men to exercise. The funny thing is, if Antifa soy boys eat less and exercise, they'll stop being Antifa. When you look at Antifa mugshots, it's a collection of scrawny or obese male feminists. There are women in Antifa, but they're not important. Women are not important in any movement because women aren't leaders, they're supporters. And follow my thinking here. If you see women at the front lines of a movement, it sends a subconscious message that the movement itself isn't important. If it was, they just wouldn't be there, because women rarely lead movements. But if something is dangerous, women are not in the front lines. They are biologically wired to protect their wombs. And when you see these naked women in France screeching like harpies with PMS, or half-naked fat American women doing slut walks, they're not brave. They only do it in first world countries in white areas. Okay, this scene, this is kind of from the 20-year-old movie, scary movie with Anna Faris, I think. Funny movies. They made 4 of them that were funny. The scene, it was in that, they did that scene. Here's the thing. When you're 20, you think it's funny. The movie was pretty funny when you're 20. You get a little older, it's just not funny anymore. It's just silly. It's not like, we're not embarrassed and we're not prudes. It's just silly. It's silly. And I'm not sure who your audience is. Is your audience, this has been around since 93. Is your audience 40-year-old dudes, or your audience 20-year-old dudes? Actually, I think you're only shipping about 2,000 to 3,000 of his comics. So, and I don't know. I mean, if this is digital, I don't know what your audience is now. It's not very good. My point was that if you see women doing anything, it's a de facto signal that it's safe, because men are expendable. Young, fertile women are very valuable. And I had heard some BLM harpy yelling about how she was out there risking her life. She was in a wealthy white residential neighborhood. Statistically, that is the safest place in America. If you're free to yell into a loudspeaker at a gay couple in New York, then clearly you're in no danger. Actually, BLM is most likely to be a victim of BLM, because they are a violent group. That's why BLM and Antifa is not a serious group, because there are too many women who do most of the speaking. If the movement mattered, if it was important, men would be in charge. But every BLM and Antifa event has women speaking and leading. When you see men take over, that's when you have to take them seriously. The puppet masters behind the scenes are probably getting frustrated with BLM being too stupid to follow orders. So this Savage Dragon 252 is a liberal's wet dream. Everything they do is a straw man. This panel pretty much shows the opposite of the real world, but everyone is just too nice and too afraid of being called istophobic to point it out. That's why developmentally disabled people like Larson feel comfortable making these comics where blonde men do the violence. That is the exact opposite of reality, and everybody knows it. We wouldn't mention it if you didn't put this horse feathers in our face, but you do because you know that nobody is going to say anything. Make love to yourself, commies. If you had the balls to make a comic that actually was an accurate representation of crime rates and not the exact opposite, your own people would eat you alive. People have been so brainwashed that if they showed anything other than blonde man bad, they would lose their minds. But keep making crap. It's not selling, but if you enjoy wasting your time, go for it. Comics are in trouble because of you commies. Your audience was, well, say, fair-skinned guys who just want to effing grill. So what do? You make them the bad guys every single time. Why would these guys continue to buy comics that are written by racists and sexists who hate them? I saw that Zach covered this issue, but he is so soft and soy now, which is fine because it's what he needs to do to make millions. So he is laughing all the way to the bank. But he leaves a lot left unsaid. The people making comics now are full-blown racist, Bolshevik, filthy degenerates. Modern comics are pure propaganda. There is no resemblance to a good story because they are so formulaic. If you see blonde hair, that character will be evil. If you see a person of color, a pox, they will be a purse puppy. There is no story when there is no mystery. Only in comics will you see blonde gangs roaming the city, or blonde guys robbing liquor stores. If you want to be fair, you got to make the antagonist-protagonist follow reality. Otherwise, you're lying to make one group of people overrepresented as criminals. Yes, we know comics aren't real. You've got superheroes. We suspend our disbelief for that. But why is there an overrepresentation of blonde or redheaded people as evil criminals? We cannot suspend our disbelief for that because it's a lie based in racism. Once you show blonde gang members or robbers Robin 7-Elevens. We know that you got an agenda, and it's against the very people who are or were buying your product. This isn't rocket science here. You were directly insulting the customers. It does not get any simpler than that. That is why the industry is finished. The other Comicsgate channels just won't say this plainly, but this one specific issue has tanked the industry. And I commented in, what's her name, Camila Zong's post. She made a post about this guy today, and I said much the same as what I just said now. And like, they're not going to respond to that, because their response is, don't you want diversity in comics? I don't want the blonde or red-haired people to be the antagonists every single time. And there's no response to that, because if you set up a matrix analyzing the distribution of these antagonists and protagonists, I would be right. The correlation is like 95%, if not greater. But the SJWs can't admit this, because the whole reason they're in comics is to push propaganda. It's not like they don't love the industry. They didn't grow up reading comics. They don't love comics. They see it as, oh, this is something I can use as a vector to push propaganda. Oh, look at all these. The thing is, there are diversity in comics, but they see the few characters that aren't, or that are of European origin, whatever. They go, oh, we need to make them black. The problem is, do I get into this? The problem is, comics have always portrayed the antagonists overrepresenting blonde people, red-haired people. Way overrepresenting them. The problem, and it's like, that's okay, sort of, because everyone in the comics was white. And then you started making the protagonists diverse, but you didn't do it to the antagonists. So you've got this United Colors of Bennington as the good guys, but all the bad guys are white. And it's like, we open up social media, we open up the newspapers, we know that's horseshit. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, sub to Bitchute. If you're on Bitchute, give YouTube a sub. If you want a support channel or send me something to be edited, you can hit up my email. Click the links below. All right, guys, I will see you on the next episode.